Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to cast on with my Sentro here. I'm going to tell you in advance, I've seen people start the cast on with this one here, and I did not learn how to do it that way. I kind of taught myself, so I always start with this one. But it does not matter which one of these you start with, as long as you continue around every other peg. So I'm gonna drop, I don't know, a foot of yarn, however much I think I need, and I'm gonna hook it under the first hook. And then I'm going to slowly go around, and I'm going to hook and then go behind. So the first one is hooked, and sometimes you gotta watch to make sure that stays hooked, and then behind. And then I front, hook, behind, hook, behind, hook, behind. And we're going to do that all the way around, hooking and behind, making sure you're doing every other one. When I first started, I hooked every single hook, and then I had a bunch of drop stitches. And I think there's quite a few people I have seen had this problem since Christmas. So we are going every other hook until we get back to that very first hook. Now, when I get back to my white hook, I go behind the white hook, and then I make sure it's inside this guide right here, because that's another thing. If it's not inside that guide, it's not going to work. And then you come down here and put it in your, of course I've got a big old knot, put it in your tension. There we go. And then I always kind of make sure that here stays hooked, and then you start cranking around like so. And then it should work. And you're gonna notice the first time around that it looks a little weird because you've only gone every other one, but I promise it'll work its way out. So that's how you cast on. I'm gonna do one more round. Okay, so I'm gonna show you a different view. This would be more like the view when you're sitting in front of your machine. And please forgive me, there's cat hair in the yarn hole. This is what real life is like. So anyway, I'm going to take my yarn, the end of my yarn, and I'm going to place it down in the middle of the machine. And I only have one hand, so this is a little tricky. And then I'm going to make sure that it hooks under the first hook. Now I start with this hook right here. There's a lot of people who start with this one here. This is just how I taught myself. I've never had any issues starting with this one, so I'm sorry if that's not the way it's supposed to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the first hook, oh, this is hard, hooks the yarn, and then the second hook, we are going to go behind. And then we're going to come back around, and we're going to go in front. I need a tripod. And then we're going to go behind, back and forth. And when you have two hands, this is a lot easier. And then we're going to go back in front and behind. And we're going to do that all the way around the machine. Just like that. All the way. So if you look, I'm showing you all the way around. I've gone all the way around the machine. Sorry, it's blurry. And you can see that we've skipped one all the way around. And the inside, it looks like this. Do you see how it's like these short lines? There. Okay, so we're all the way back to the front. And because I started on this peg, my last peg is going to be the white one. I'm going to wrap around the back of the last peg. And I'm going to make sure that my yarn goes all the way into this guide. All the way. If it's sticking out here, then the hooks are not going to hook it. Okay? And then we're going to take this down here And we're going to put it in whatever tension you need to put it in. I tend to put it in the center one almost exclusively. If it's a little thinner thread, I'll put it in the first one. And if it's a little bit thicker or hard to work with, I'll put it in the last. But I'm almost always in this one right here. And then once we have that, we're going to kind of make sure that this yarn right here doesn't pull out from underneath this hook. And we're going to start turning. I'm going to pull this just a little bit more. And then it will start knitting. Now, you're going to notice that the first time as you go, there's only a loop on every other one, and that is okay. Because the second time around, it will do 2. And here's the second time around. So now we're going to end up with a loop on every single hook. You see now? So it may look weird at the beginning, as I said in the last view, but by the time you get around a couple times, it's going to look like you feel like it should. So then you'll just keep going around and it'll start building up your project. And now Toby needs to go outside, so I will leave you with that. Let me know if you have any questions.